Hello there. Today we're going to be talking about compressed air rockets. We're not talking about these little paper rockets that you might have seen on Instructables where you launch them by pressurizing a little launcher with a bike pump. We're talking 5-foot high pressure rockets that go hundreds of feet in the air. These rockets start with a T8 light tube cover, which is about 4 feet long, very stiff and straight, and makes a great basis for the rocket. On top of that, you've got your release mechanism and a parachute, and of course fins. I began working with these rockets about 7 years ago when I launched one without a parachute for my air cannon, and it went up and took 11 seconds to come down. Ever since that, I've been intrigued by this and have done a number of iterations of this design. So here's a breakdown of the parts of the rocket. You've got a rounded nose cone. You want a rounded nose cone for subsonic flight speeds. You have a battery chamber with a 12-volt battery to power the motor and the remote control. This is also where the altimeter will go. There's some small holes punched here to allow the air pressure to equalize. You've got the remote control circuit board, which is held here, and the gear motor with a pin on it holding this rubber band. And as this turns, it gets pulled inside the rocket and will release the parachute. So the parachute is retained in this cavity here. You've got like a piece of graphite rod here glued into these wooden end caps, and the mylar fits in between these bands to keep it from sliding off. You've got a 12-inch nylon parachute with shock cord. When you stow this, you want to just let things zigzag like this so that you don't have a lot of resistance to get the parachute to unfurl. And to create the sealed pressure chamber, you glue the T8 tube to this wooden plug I use Loctite universal glue, which is a super glue type family. You apply that on the plug, turn that and let it slide in there. This will embrittle this PET tube over time. So to protect against that, I put a piece of heavy-duty packing tape on this area a few turns, and that will help preserve that bond. The fin section is made from a piece of PVC pipe that's been bored out to fit in the outside of the T8 tube, and PVC sheets that are then glued to that with PVC glue. You can use your basic rocket fin jig to make sure that they're nice and parallel so you don't end up with a wonky flight. One of the things I've always been curious about is how high this rocket flies. To solve that issue, I've settled on this micro peak altimeter from Apogee Rockets. I've had a number of other, including the small SDs altimeters that have all died in ballistic recoveries. This one, as you can see, suffered from such a return flight, but is still operational. So the parachute release on these rockets works by some sort of timer or release device that would then allow this elastic band that's securing this mylar sheet, which is holding the parachute in place, to be released. The mylar pops off and the chute is released. I first started out using some of these little wind-up timers. These come from those little bouncing toys. You wind them up. The handle turns around and gives you the ability to have that turn around and release the rubber band. The problem with that is that you can only have certain time periods when this is going to get to a point where it can release the rubber band. So you either have occurrences where the parachute comes out too early and the rocket's moving so fast the parachute gets ripped off, or lots of times you'll have problems with the parachute getting tangled on any of these timers, and you have a ballistic recovery. Ta-da! So the launcher for this rocket is an outgrowth of the standard sprinkler valve type air rocket launcher, but it's been expanded with a larger air reservoir of a 3-inch Schedule 80 pipe and a long copper tube. Here's a video of it being charged with a tire compressor in the field. Well, enough with all that technical stuff. Let's see some launches. You'll see the good, the bad, as well as my world record launch to 382 feet. I haven't found anything on the internet that says anybody's gotten higher, so I'm calling it a record. Enjoy!
Three, two, one. That wasn't good. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's
got involved with running, which used to run track. And John.
Well, I hope you found that both entertaining and informative. I do recommend trying air rockets, either small or going as big as you can. And the next time you're shooting off water rockets, try just filling one with air. You'll be surprised on just how high it goes. Goodbye.